I have always held a love for rifles that occupy the gray space between an AR variant and a direct AK variant, and while this rifle takes after the latter more so than the former, it's definitely earned the right to its own identity. Manufactured in 1996, the G36 is a direct consequence of the fall of the Berlin Wall. Pre-1989, HK was developing the ultimate space-age rifle with caseless ammunition. This revolutionary concept became known as the G11. After the unification of Germany, a relocation of funds forced HK to shift focus onto a more conventional rifle. While the G36 can't be used as effectively in zero-gravity environments like the caseless G11, it's still a very modern design. With the heaviest variant weighing in at around 8 pounds and the lightest at around 6 pounds, this is an overall lightweight rifle no matter what configuration you have it in, thanks to an almost entirely polymer design. It only comes in 5.56, with its range varying from 200 meters to 800 meters depending on the variant. Not only is its polymer design useful for its weight, but it also makes the rifle incredibly easy to clean and maintain. It's a proven design with a reliable rotary gas bolt system. On top of all that, it also boasts a ambidextrous charging handle. While the carrying handle featured on the top of it may seem unappealing to many people, as well as the integrated sight on earlier variants, newer models can have this carrying handle and integrated 1x optic taken off of the rifle, making it modular and customizable. In 2008, trials were held to replace the US military's M4 rifle system. The G36 was one of the rifles set to replace it and almost did. The XM8 variant of the G36 proved to be more reliable and maneuverable than the military's M4. However, they lost the bid for making the rifle a little too pricey and forcing the US military, with the purchase of their XM8 rifles, to also purchase specified attachments that only went with HK-approved systems, making the rifle modular, but in the Apple sort of way. One place most gamers will know the G36 from will be the Call of Duty franchise, as it maintains a presence in both Modern Warfare and the Black Ops series. In OG Modern Warfare, Gaz rocked the G36 as his main rifle, and while the game portrayed it quite accurately, the magazine doesn't just fall out. You'll notice this continues in Black Ops' 2 inclusion of the XM8. In reality, the G36 in all of its variants has a paddle release like the AK-47, or AKM, whatever you're more familiar with. However, in games it seems to just fall out of the gun when you just rock it forward. So despite having a stellar presence in the entirety of Call of Duty as a franchise, that is one inaccuracy they did not correct until later entries. Black Ops 2 paid homage to the XM8 trials in the way that it portrays the US military using the XM8 as their standard issue rifle in the future of 2025. Also, the futuristic deco of the XM8 style G36 fits right in with Black Ops 2's themes and settings, so it's one of my favorite guns to use there. I actually mained it back in the day during the Black Ops 2 multiplayer. The most accurate depiction within the Call of Duty franchise, at least, of the G36 would be its incarnation in Modern Warfare. The Gunsmith editor allows you to use many different variants of this gun, and the reloads are finally portrayed accurately instead of just dropping out of the gun, which would be insanely problematic. While it's not nearly as useful as it was in Black Ops 2, many die-hard fans of the Modern Warfare series love using Gaz's gun. Released in 2008 during the XM8 trials, MGS4 is truly a product of its time, as the XM8 variant of the G36 is front and center as the US's main rifle. Metal Gear has a good reputation of a realistic depiction of guns, and the XM8 is no different. The paddle release, built-in sight, and charging handle are all featured here. I just wish Snake would stop racking the charging handle with every reload. While the XM8 gets love in the story, it's a whole different, story and gameplay. While the XM8 is a decent rifle in the game, there's little reason to use it as it pretty much does everything Snake's signature M4 does, except it can't be suppressed. And that's a big issue with Metal Gear Solid 4. It has so many guns, but it gives you such little incentive to use them all. A shame, really, So much variety should be taken advantage of. Still, this will go down as one of the most prominent features of the G36 in games. Featured only in the winter map of Vikendi, the G36C variant of the G36 replaces the SCAR 16 in a similar way to how the QBZ replaces the SCAR in the Sanhok jungle map. Here the rifle is portrayed as a high recoil, high damage 5.56 gun. While the manual of arms of the G36C is respected within PUBG, as it is with many other guns, it does have the issue of portraying certain guns of same caliber doing more damage than others, but that's a balancing thing, so I'm gonna let it go. Especially since it respects the manual of arms and doesn't have the magazine magically fly out of the gun. So yeah, good on you, PUBG. 2015's Rise of the Tomb Raider works as a sort of level up game in regards to its weapons, meaning you unlock better versions of the same guns you use as the game goes on. The G36C, or what I think is supposed to be the G36C, serves as the modern black rifle that the AR-15 usually fills. Not much to say here besides it's a joy to use, and it also touches on that commentary of the G36 being the new bad guy gun, kind of replacing the AK's presence in cinema. If you want to have an intimidating force of bad guys that are armed with G36s, watch modern action movies and then come tell me I'm wrong. Anyways, again, fun joy to use. I'm glad it's featured here instead of the AR-15 because we already have so many M16 and M4 variants in games. It's nice to get something fresh like the G36 every now and then. So if you've watched any of the prior Pliskins picks, you know this is the part where we come to the conclusion and we talk about why a certain gun did not reach iconic status. But this is going to be a little bit different because I don't think the G36 fails to reach iconic status, I just think it's had a bumpy road getting to that point. While the G36 is an awesome rifle, S tier actually, suffering only from minor ergonomic flaws, its legacy came under threat in a 2010 lawsuit of the German government onto HK for supposed overheating issues. While these claims have been disproven, the damage has been done and the reputation of the amazing rifle that is the G36 has been tarnished. Look up a torture test and try to find one where this gun fails or resembles any of the complaints that are talked about. If you go ahead and research all this and don't just take it at my word. If you do, awesome. The German military says they're changing to the HK416, another proven rifle. However, they're taking their sweet time, which makes me think that maybe they don't take these claims as seriously as they say they are. Which makes me happy because the G36 honestly is a rifle that can stand with the greats, the AK and the AR. This is a rifle that is reliable, it's lighter, it feels like the next step forward. And I think within the next couple decades or so, this gun may reach iconic status. So instead of telling you why this gun failed, I'll tell you why. Well, I told you why it had its issues, but I still think there's hope for the G36. It keeps showing up in pop culture, showing that it's not going out of style. If anything, it's coming in. And more people are taking notice of this gun and dispelling the lies from that 2010 lawsuit. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this more optimistic take on Pliskins picks, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Over and out.